but you might not have been knowing that we've been talking about these national income statistics. I know most of you has ever listened to a presidential speech or an economic speech, and you've ever heard of people talking of things like the gross domestic product of a country. You've ever heard of people talking of the output of a country. You've ever heard people talking of the total production in a country, the value of the total production in a country. In a nutshell, what those people were talking about was the national income of a nation. So when you talk of national income, we are talking of the value of a country's total production. In every country, there is what we call economic activities. And what usually make up the economic activities, one of it is production. And this is the production of goods and services. And production within a country can be done by those who are the citizens of that country. And in other cases, we usually even have some people who are not really the citizens of a certain country, but they take part in the production of goods and services. So whatever people have produced within a particular period of time, within a country, we'll be talking of it as national income of a country. So when you talk of national income of any country, we are talking of the value of total production in a country. That's when we talk of national income statistics. So we'll be looking at these statistics from one. We shall look at the definition of this national income statistics. We shall look at why is it necessary for us to have the national income statistics. We shall also be looking at various concepts that are there or that are studied at national income statistics. We shall also look at the limitations when it comes to collection of national income statistics. We shall also look at methods of computing these national income statistics. So all this is what we shall be looking at in our session today. So we shall start with the looking at the meaning of this national income. We shall first of all define what is this national income that we are analyzing, because our topic is about national income analysis. So what is national income? When you talk of national income, we are talking of the measure of the measure of value of goods and services produced in a country in monetary terms within a particular period of time. So when you talk of national income, we are talking of it is the value of what a country has produced within a particular period of time, and it is measured in monetary terms or in money terms. So when we talk of national income, we are talking of the value of what a country has produced, and this period of time in most cases is usually 1 year. So when we'll be talking of national income measurement, we'll be measuring it over a period of 1 year. So like if we take a country like Kenya, when we talk of the national income of Kenya, we'll be talking of what has been produced by Kenyans or within Kenya within a particular period of time. And when you talk of what has been produced in Kenya, we are talking of, like, let's say, what a teacher has, the value of the services that a teacher has produced, the value of goods that a farmer has produced, the value of goods that a manufacturer has produced, the value of goods that everybody who is in the production and service industry has produced. All of them brought together, that's when you'll be talking of national income. Maybe in Swahili, this is what we call utajiri wa nchi. So when you hear of utajiri wa nchi, umekuwa kwa kiwango kipi. So that's when you'll be talking of the national income. What is the value of the production or the production that has been done in a country within a particular period of time? That's when we'll be talking of that. We'll be looking at different concepts of national income. And the first concept that we shall be looking at is gross domestic product. And when we talk of the gross domestic product, or what we call the GDP, this is something that I know, even in my economics class, I have mentioned it. That is the GDP. When we talk of the GDP, we are talking of the money value of all goods and services produced within a country at a particular period of time. And when we talk of the GDP, we are talking of any product that has been produced within a country by the citizens and non-citizens. The key word here being it has been produced within the boundaries of a certain country, whether it has been done by a citizen or a non-citizen. If we take the example of our country, Kenya, when we talk of a GDP of Kenya, we'll be talking of what has been produced within the boundaries of Kenya as a country. So by both Kenyans and non-Kenyans, that's when we talk of the GDP. Number two, we shall also talk of the gross national product. When we talk of the gross national product, it's also called GNP. GNP. So gross national product is the sum of the value of all goods and services produced by nationals or citizens of a country during a certain period of time, mostly a year, both from within the country or outside the country, both from within and outside the country. So when we talk of GDP, we are talking of gross national, not the use of the word national. It means that it is what has been produced by the citizens of a country from within the country and outside the country. Let's take an instance of our country like Kenya. So when you talk of the GDP, it is what Kenyans have produced within Kenya and outside the country. So that is what the gross national product is. I can see someone who is saying that I repeat what I've said gross domestic product is. I will not mind repeating it. When you talk of, so that is Michelle who has asked what I've said about gross domestic product. I've said gross domestic product is the value of all goods and services produced within a country by both the citizens and non-citizens, but within a certain period of time, mostly 1 year. So gross domestic product ni kile kimetengenezewa nchini, ni kile kimetengenezewa nchini. That's when you talk of gross domestic product. Nayo gross national product nimesema ni what has been the value of goods and services produced by nationals of a country, both from within and outside the country. Na nikapeana a good example of Kenya. It is what Kenyans have produced within the country and outside the country. What we call maybe the Kenyans in diaspora. There's one outside the country. So it's my hope that it's now clear, Michelle. So the other concept that we shall be looking at is a net national product. That is NNP, net national product, or NNP. When you talk of net national product, it is the value of total production after lessing depreciation allowance, after lessing depreciation allowance. One thing one thing that you know is that when production takes place, we usually use factors of production. And one of the factors of production that is being used is capital. And we said capital is man-made, and because it is man-made, it is subject to depreciation. Depreciation, this is loss of value. You know that, like for example, if you are using a laptop now or you're using a phone, the value of that particular phone or laptop that you're using to study today, it is not equivalent to the value that you bought, the value that it had when you bought it. So it has depreciated. So when you talk of net national product, we usually say it is the gross national product less depreciation allowance. That allowance that the capital used in production will lose its value. So net national product, you note, it is the gross national product less the capital allowance. That's when it net. It is the third concept. The fourth concept is nominal gross national product. Nominal gross national product. We say that this is the value of goods and services produced within a country by its citizens at the market prices. By its citizens at the market prices. In economics, we usually have two types of prices. We usually have what we call the market prices, and we also have what we call the nominal, sorry, not the real prices of goods. When you talk of the market prices, we are talking of the price at which commodities are being sold at in an open market, or when you go to purchase those particular products. And having studied demand, you know that price can be determined by forces of demand and supply, but there are other factors that influences how much a good will be sold today. And one of the factor that usually affects the prices of commodities or the market prices of commodities is what we refer to as inflation. So well, the value of goods and services as at the prices which you get them in the market prices. Like for example, if we are talking of adding the prices of the services provided by a teacher, we are talking of what you will pay to get that service if you go to a school, if you go to a university. What you'll pay when you go to the market to buy the maize flour. In short, that is inclusive of inflation. So inflation is included as other factors affecting prices of commodities. That's when you talk of nominal gross national product. It is national product measured at market prices. That is it. We have the last one, which is real national product. Real national product. Real national product. Now, note here, we say that this is the national product valued at prices during some base year, or it is the nominal gross national product collected for inflation. So when we talk of real gross national product. In this case, we've seen with the nominal gross national product, there is inflation factor in it. So for real national product, we usually now less or subtract the inflation factor in the prices of commodities. So it is national product which is inflation free. We are not factoring inflation in that particular case. So that's when we talk of real national product, and we are calling it we are calling it national gross national product at a particular base year, because when we are talking of inflation, you know, inflation, it is a drastic increase in prices of a commodity. When did the price start increase? Or when did the price start increasing? So that particular year, when the prices started to increase, that is what we call a base year. Like for example, if the prices of unga today is 120, and last year the same packet of unga was being sold at 90 shillings, we can say because of inflation, the prices of unga have increased from 90 shillings to 120. So the last year will be our base year, because it is from there the prices started to increase. So that's when you talk of real national income, we are talking of it is national income measured at a base year. Like in this case, would be saying, because 2019, that's when the unga was at 90 shillings, that will be our base year. So that's when you talk of real national income. The last of all is what we call the per capita income. The per capita income. When you talk of the per capita income, this is the income per head. Note it like that. It is the income per head. Why do we call per capita income per head? This is because we usually take the total national income of a country, we add the total national income. Like for example, we can talk of the per capita GDP. We take like for example, the total GDP of a country, then we divide by the population of a country. Like for example, if the GDP of Kenya, let's say it is 7 trillion, and you know the population of Kenya is 47 million people. What we'll do to get the per capita income, we shall take the 7 trillion, you divide by the 47 million people in a country. So whatever you shall get when you divide 47 trillion, 7 trillion divided by 47 is what we shall say it is the income per head, or what we call the per capita income. Yes, that is what we call, that's when we talk of the concept in national income. So those are the concepts that we shall have. And let's go to now national income accounting. National income accounting. And do you have any question as far as that one is concerned? Silence means that you're okay. Okay. So when you talk of national income accounting, we say that this national income, it is as a result of adding the incomes of the values of goods produced in a country for a particular period of time. And when you talk of national income computational accounting, we'll be talking of three methods which are used in coming out with the national income figures. So when we talk of the GDP of Kenya being, let's say, the one that I've given, that's not the actual figure. That the 7 trillion is not the actual figure. If we say the GDP of Kenya is 7 trillion, so how do we arrive at 7 trillion? That's what we'll be looking at national income. There are three methods we can use to arrive at national income figures. Number one, I will first of all name them, then we shall go through them individually. Number one is what we call the income approach or income method. Number two is what we call the expenditure approach or the expenditure method. And then we have number is value approach. So we shall start with the income approach or the income method, and we shall say that income method or approach, this is where we add all the incomes of the citizens in a country, and then from the incomes of the citizens, we shall add all of them. Shall add all of them in order to get the national income of a country. You remember, we are looking at theory. We say that factors of production. So not three, four factors of production. That is land. We talked of entrepreneurship. We talked of capital. We talked of labor. All of them. So when you talk of a national income approach, it is simply means we are adding the incomes from all these factors of production. Or in a more simpler words, or in a more simpler way, we are talking of adding the rewards of all these factors of production. You remember when we are looking at this particular when we are looking at these factors of production, you remember we looked at each factor and we give it a reward. Like for land, we say the reward for land is rent. We also talked of capital being interest. We also talked of entrepreneurship being profit. We also talked of labor being wages or salaries. So when we talk of rent income plus, and then we are talking of rent income of within the country, the total rent income within a country plus the total profits of the business plus the total salaries and wages in a country. So when we add all those, we will be getting the national income through an income approach. And you can see why we are calling it income approach. We are adding incomes from factors of production. We are summing them together so that we can be able to have the total value of goods and services produced in a country. So that's when we talk of the income approach. Number two, the approach that we shall be having is what we call the the expenditure approach. When you talk of the expenditure approach, we are trying to get through this method. We usually get the value of a country's wealth by adding the spending within this particular country. And how does it happen? Usually take, in a nation, there is what we call the households, and there is the farms, and there is the government. There is more in every economy. There are three sectors that are there. So we'll be talking of the spending of the consumers, that is the households. Households, they are the consumers, the people who are in the common man in the market, the households. We are also talking of the expenditure of the government plus the expenditure of the farms. The farms are the industries that we have in a country. So we'll be talking of that. The income of the households, the income of sorry, not the income, the expenditure of the households, the expenditure of the government, and the expenditure of the farms. So from that, we shall come up with an equation whereby we shall say that national income of a country will be equal to 1. Consumer spending plus government spending plus investments plus X minus in national income will be equal to consumer spending. Consumer spending tumesema ni spending ya mtu wa kawaida, the common man, then the man in the market who buys and commodities from the normal market. The government spending, that is when the government when the government maybe starts spends on the infrastructure, giving of services and such. We talk of investment. This is when people invest in projects in a country. And then we talk of the exports. This is the income that a country gets when it has sold some goods to other country. And when talk of the import, this is what we pay when we buy goods from outside the country. So that's when it be talking of the expenditure approach. That's when we talk of the expenditure approach. That's when we arrive at it in that particular case. Then the third one and the last one is what we call the national output approach. So under this particular approach, we usually get the value of national income as the value added, the value of a product, the value added of a product at every stage of production. Um, some products, before we get the final goods and services, they'll go through a processing stage. Like for example, if you're talking of a product like like ugali, there is the production stage of this ugali. One, you start with the seed that was produced in order for it to be planted. That's a stage. So there is some value that will be added to that particular seed, maize seed. So how much have we added to that seed so that it can be ready for planting? That value, we shall take it. Then after the seed has been planted, it will be added to some value so that it can become now the maize that we can consume. What value have we added to the seed so as it can become maize? Then after maybe the maize has grown, it is now ready for processing. The maize which you have now take to the that we are talking of that value that will be adding to our product in that particular process of production. So if we take the values that we add in, like in that particular, like for that example that I've given for maize, the one that was given by the seed producer, he added some value to that particular maize seed. You take it, you add to what the farmer added to the seed. You add to you take that one, you also add what the maize flour processor added value, the value that the maize processor added to the maize. You add all of them. When you add them, you'll be able to get the value of maize. Sorry, the value added on a maize. You do the same to all products and services in the country. So when you take all the total of those particular value added in every industry, you will be able to get what we call the national income through the output or value added approach. There is something that I want you to note. If you use either of it, whatever you'll get should be the same. What am I saying? Like, for example, if we have 3 economists, one in Kenya, and one just decides to use the national output method. Another one decides to use the national income approach or method. And another one decides to use the national expenditure method. The value of their figures should be the same. So what we are saying is that national income output figures should be equal to national income statistics figures should also be equal to national expenditure statistics for the same country at the same time. Because there is one thing that we have to consider there. They must be done at for the same country and within the same period of time. Like if we talk of Kenya, the example that I've given, we do them like for 2019. All of them should be the same or should give you the same figure. That's when we talk of national income method. So before we go to the difficulties in measuring national income figures, I want us now to look at something. For this, I want you to switch on your cameras. I'll give you 1 minute so that you can turn on your cameras. I'm sharing something. I want us to look at something called the circular flow of incomes. So please switch on your cameras so that you can be able to see whatever I'll be sharing. So switch on your cameras for 1 minute. With 9:20, I'll start sharing it. The circular flow of income. Like for today, if if you have a shop and I come to your shop and I buy a packet of maize flour a day like today, the money that I've given you is likely to circulate in the economy. What do I mean by likely to circulate in an economy? What happens if I have if I come to your shop and I buy, let's say using 1,000, that 1,000 you are likely to give it to the person who maybe processed the unga, and the person who processed the unga will take money to the farmer who grows maize. The money will, maybe the person who is the farmer, maybe he will pay the workers. The workers will go and buy the maize flour. The process starts. The process starts again. You go to the person, to the workers. The workers will have the money to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper will have the money to the processor. The processor will add money to the farmer. The farmer will add the money to the farmer. Farmer will hand the money to the worker. The process continues. You can see there is a circular way how the money is flowing from from the farmer all the way to the processor, then back through the same cycle. So that's when you talk of the circular flow of income. And we shall be talking of two, in our case here, I'll be talking of two of economy. One, we'll be talking of a closed economy. When you talk of a closed economy, this is an economy whereby the funds flows within the economy. Nothing gets out of this economy. Everything is flowing within this economy. That's why we call it a closed economy. And this closed economy, we also refer it to as a two-sector economy. And we call it a two-sector economy because we'll be having two sectors. One is what we call the households, and two is what we call the farms. The households are those people who consume the goods, like the consumers, like me and you. Those are the households, the people who consumes. Then we shall have another category whom we shall refer to as the farms. The farms are the producers. The farms are the producers, the industries that produce various goods and services. Now, let's go to the diagram that I've provided for those who can see. This is now what I'm talking of, the two-sector economy. You can see where my cursor is. This is the households. The households, sorry a bit. The households will, in this case, provide what we call the factor services. The households provide the factor services like labor. They will provide other services like the capital to the farms. The farm will use the labor and other factor services, mostly for households will provide labor. They will provide, the farm will use particular services to produce goods and services. Sorry, I've lost my diagram just a bit. The farm shall use those particular services to produce goods and services. Let me go back to my diagram kidogo to just a minute. Okay, I'm there. The farm will use the factor services to produce goods and services. Then, when the farm have used the factor services, they will pay the households the factor incomes, like wages. They will pay these particular farms of the factor incomes like wages. Now, the households will not keep the money to themselves. They will use the money to buy goods that the farm have manufactured or have made. You can see where the arrow is moving. The households buys the goods from the farms. That's what we are calling the consumer spending. Then the farms will sell the goods and services to the households. The process continues. After the farms have sold all the goods and services, they will need to produce more goods. So what do? They will ask the household to provide factor services like labor. When they provide the factor services like labor, the farms will pay the laborers, maybe with wages or salaries. The household will use the wages and salaries to do what we are to buy goods from the farm. That is the consumer spending. Then the farms will sell the goods and services. You can see it's a circular way. There is the way the arrows are moving. They are moving in a circular way. The income flows from the households to the farms, from the farms to the households, and the process continues. That's when you talk of a two-sector economy which is closed. That's a two-sector economy which is closed. And I've explained why it is closed. There is no income that is moving in and out, in or out of this particular economy. You can see nothing is moving in and out of this particular economy. It is closed within itself. There are some assumptions that are laid forward for this particular two-sector economy. When you talk of these assumptions, they include one, it is assumed that there is no government intervention in this particular economy. You can see it is closed. There is nowhere the government is coming. There is no taxation. You say that comes in the market mostly through taxation, through regulations, through provision of subsidies and other means. But when it comes to a closed economy, the government does not play any part. The economy is closed. Another assumption for this particular closed economy is that there are no exports and imports. Nothing will be bought from outside the country, or nothing will be sold from outside the country. No imports or exports. Another assumption that is put across in this particular economy is that whatever is produced in this economy, it is consumed fully by the consumers or the households. In short, what I'm saying is that whatever the farms are producing, they sell it to the household completely. You get that? Whatever the farms are producing, the households are consuming it completely. That is another assumption that is there. And then what we are saying is that there is no investment or spending from the side of the households or the farms. The farms and the household do not save or do not invest. Why is that? Because all the income is consumed. You know, saving, when you save, you reduce consumption. But when you increase consumption, you reduce saving. And because we have said that the households are consuming everything that they have earned from the farms, that means they will not be able to save. Are we together? That's when we talk of the circular flow in a closed economy, or what we call a two-sector economy. Then we shall also look at the flow of income and expenditure in a now more advanced economy. That's when you talk of, I'll look at three sector, I'll go directly to a four-sector economy. When you talk of a four-sector economy, this is an economy whereby, in addition to the farms and the households, we shall talk of now other players in particular industry. We talk of the government. We'll be talking about the foreign trade. We'll be talking of borrowings, like what happens in a normal economy. So this economy, a four-sector economy, will be talking of an open economy. It is open because the government allows other people to come and sell their products in this particular economy. That is, and also the government also buys from outside the economy. That's when you talk of its open economy. It is open to other people. It is open to the outsiders. That's when you talk of the economy. There is the government intervention in this particular case. You know, with the closed economy, we say that there is in a closed economy, we say that there is no government intervention, and this is what I've now prepared. You can see, I'm hoping let me first of all enlarge my diagram. Yes, let me enlarge it further so that you can see what I'm talking of, because it's a bit detailed. Yes, you can see in my diagram. Can you see the diagram clearly? Let me first of all reduce that. I zoom it inward and I increase its size like that. Okay, I'm hoping my diagram is visible. Yes. Can you see now whatever I'm talking of? Abdulazak? Can you see the diagram? Is my diagram clear? Abdulazak? Yes. Okay. Let me make it larger. That is okay. Oh, it has disappeared. Oh, it has gone to its own page so that it can appear well. You can see now from that diagram, you know, with the two sector economy or across economy, we had only the households and the farms only. But if you can look at my diagram keenly, you can see there are other economies that have been added here. We've added what we call the government sector. We've also added the foreign sector. And to enable this, we shall have what we call the capital market. This will aid in savings and investments. So let's start with where we started in the other case. We start with households providing factors of production such as land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. On the other hand, the farms pay the households or provide the households with factor incomes. And you can see they are paying them things like wages, rent, interest, and profits. Then, after they have been provided with that, the households in return buys the goods from the farms and they pay using the money they had gotten from the farms, but they will not use all of them. You can see part of the money that they received from the farms, they pay to the government as taxes. Part of it, they will save. They will save the money in the capital market. They will also export some manpower to foreign sector because this is a household. Households can only give factors of production. Then, on the other hand, if you look at the farms will not sell their products only to the households only. They will export some. You can see they are receiving some receipts from exports, and they will also import. There is some import payments. They will import. They will not produce from locally. They will also import. And then whatever the households had saved in the capital market, they will invest it in the farms. And you can see the farms also pay taxes. And you can see they are paying it to the government. The government, on the other hand, does what we call transfer payments. Transfer payments are things like maybe provision of social services, payment to maybe social securities for the old people, and that maybe payment provision of loans for educations. Those are some of the things that we shall talk of, maybe transfer payments that the government makes. Then after receiving the taxes from the households and the farms, the government will use these particular taxes for as a government expenditure, and some of it will be spent on the farms, maybe by coming up with infrastructure or by making sure that the farms can be able to operate normally. So this is what we call a fourth sector. This is open. Now, note here, if anything that comes into this particular economy, we call it an injection. Note here, because this one is something that it is asked in an exam. Anything that comes into this economy is called an injection. And you can see there are some injections that are there in this particular economy. Like one, there is what we are referring to as investment. Investment is an injection. You can also say something like export receipts. We are receiving them. So that one is an injection to the economy. You can also see something like foreign remittance from foreign sector. That is also an injection into the economy. It is money that is coming from outside, but it's increasing the welfare of an economy. Then we have what is moving out of this particular economy. Like you can see, things like taxes, they are removing money from the sector, the old sector, that is the two sector. You can see taxes, it's withdrawing cash from the economy. That's when we call it a withdrawal. You can also see things like transfer payments. Those ones are injection. You can see government expenditure. Those ones are withdrawals. You can also say things like import payments. Import payments. Those ones are withdrawals. So for a fourth sector economy or an open economy, have what we call injections and withdrawals. When you talk of injections, injections are money that is coming into the economy. Things like money from maybe the exports, money from investments. Those are what we call the injections. They are coming in. There are those which are moving out, and we call them the withdrawals. And examples of these things that comes out of the economy, we've given examples of savings, money payments to imports, transfer payments, and others. So that is what we'll be talking of. In the notes that I've provided, I've given the diagrams. I've also provided those particular diagrams, and also the session was recorded. So for those who are not able to see the flow of income and expenditure, you can still go to the recorded session, or you can go to the notes and you shall find that the circular flow of income being well explained. In this area, those withdrawals and injunctions are highly examined. That is a fertile ground for the examiner. There is also things to do with the two-sector economy. It is also a fertile ground for the examiner. So please, even after this session, make sure you've gone back to the notes and you've checked the two kind of sectors. You know what is open, what is closed, what are we talking of injections, what are we talking of withdrawals, and what are the examples of each case. So note that. Yeah. So that is it when it comes to lit. Let's now go back to our notes. For those who had shared their screen, you can now go back to audio. Yes, you can now go back to audio. If you wish to remain here, you can still remain. Okay. So let me go back to where I was. So let's now look at difficulties in measuring national income. Coming up with the national income figures, it is not a simple thing in an economy. And these are some of the difficulties that are faced, that economists are usually face when coming up with national income statistics or national income figures. Number one of these difficulties is what goods and services to include. One thing that you know, this is this is an exercise that is being done by different countries, and different countries have different things that they can they are involved in, and therefore different countries will include different items when they are coming up with national income statistics. Also, even in a country, some people have to ask themselves some questions, like, for example, do we have to include unpaid services like those of a housewife in national income statistics? And there is some rationale in it, because if these particular services were not being performed by someone whom we are not paying, would have paid it, or would have paid for such services. Like when talk of her housewife, the housewives do not they are not paid for the services they provide, but whatever they do is very important. And if they are not giving their services freely, we usually employ house managers to provide these services. So when they are performed by a housewife, do we include them or not? That's one of the limitations. The other one is there is danger of double counting. Sometimes um, the sectors and industries are interrelated, and therefore some output in some sectors will be an input in the other sector. And when they are included in the national income computation, there will be a problem of counting the two twice. So that we talk of the danger of double counting. The other one is there is inadequate information. Sometimes you know that the economy is made up of both public and private sector. Some may not have kept the information. The public sector, the private sector, they may not have kept the information regarding their activities. So such information may not be available. That's when talk of inadequate information. Another a limitation is that lack of technocrats who can be able to compute national income statistics. This is the national income computation cannot be done by anybody. You need someone who has knowledge, who has skills to come up with this particular information, or to come up with these particular computations. So if these individuals are not there, the national income statistics will not be computed, or will not be worked out in an economy. So that is when we talk of the limitations. Now let's look at factors affecting the size of national income. Yes, all know that countries are classified based on their wealth. And there are those countries which are classified as third world or poor countries. There are other countries which are classified as rich countries. What usually makes people to classify these? Most of the things that usually affect the classification is the national income statistics. And so what makes USA to have higher national income statistics than Kenya? What makes Uganda maybe to have maybe lower national income statistics than Kenya? So that's what we'll be looking at when you talk of factors affecting the size of national income statistics. Number one, we are talking of natural resources. Countries which have a large, which have a lot of natural resources like minerals, fertile soil, pasture, land, where countries where there is a lot of rivers, seas, energy resources, those are countries whose national income statistics will be very high. Let's take an example of countries in the in Middle East. They are rich because of natural resources. They have a lot of crude oil, and because of that, these countries are able to extract it and sell it, and therefore it increases the wealth of the country. Other countries, most of the countries which are poor or do not have high national income, they do not have resources. So that is one of the reasons. The other one is human resources. Yes, when we talk of human resources, we are talking of the population which can work. Some countries are rich because their people or their citizens can be able to come up with ways of doing things, or they have skills which can produce goods and services. So when talk of such, mostly like the Western countries, the Europe, America, that is the North Americas, they have good, well-trained human resources, and because of that, they are able to come up with new inventions. They are, and thus improving their national income statistics. The other one is the capital resources. When talk of capital resources, we are talking of things like machineries, factories, roads, railways, airports, and ports. A country like China is a good example when it comes to this. China, it's rich, not because it has a lot of natural resources, but because it has a lot of capital resources. They are able to come up with good machineries, good factories, which produce goods and they sell to other people. They have good railways, good airports, good ports, and because of that, they create a good environment for trade, and therefore increasing their national income figures. The other one is what we call self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency. Yes, when you talk of self-sufficiency, we are asking, does the citizens of a country, can the citizens of a country provide for themselves? Are they self-supporting, or will they rely on other countries? Like, for example, this is what African countries usually lack. When talk of the self-sufficiency, we are not self-sufficient. We usually rely on others, maybe in form of aids, in form of donations, even in form of even technology. We use other countries' technology. So those countries will be better off because they'll be selling to us whatever they have already made. So meaning that because we are relying on others, ours will still be low. Then the last one is political stability. When a country is politically stable, a lot of activities are done in this particular country, like trade. There is a lot of businesses, farms can be set up in the country. Individuals can exchange goods with each other. So a lot of things, extraction, the process of production can take place in these countries as a result of having a stable country politically. Look at countries like our neighbor Somalia. They are poor not because they don't have resources, but because since 1993 they have been in war, and because of that they have not been able to do their businesses well. So that's when you talk of that. You remember in our country in 2007, 2008, we had what we call the post-election violence, whereby there was some clashes within the country. Investors even ran out of the country. There were no people willing to invest in the country. Businesses stopped. Schools stopped. Why? Because of political instability. Then also talk of calamities. Like COVID-19 is a calamity that has affected the world. That's another factor that can affect the size of a national income. Like now, because of the COVID-19, most countries in the world, if not all, they have stopped their activities. And as a result, it means that there will be no production of goods and services. Therefore, their national income statistics will be low. So national calamities can also be some of the factors that will affect the size of our country's national income figures. Let's look at the last bit for today, and we shall look at the uses of national income statistics or figures. Why do we prepare national income statistics or national income figures? One, they help in sharing the national cake. Yes, the national income statistics or national income figures, they will help in distributing the wealth of a country. Like we are, this next week, the cabinet secretary in charge of treasury will lead out the budget, and in this budget he will distribute the resources of a country, maybe based on counties, constituencies, wards in the country, but they will be using the national income figures. Like when you talk of the fund that is given to the marginalized counties, they will be given based on how much a country produces. Counties which are rich will not be given the marginalized fund. Counties which are poor fund. We say that it helps in distribution of that income. The other one is that they are used in comparing standards of living of a country over time. Yes, we've talked of per capita income, that is income per head. And a country which has a higher per capita income, it is taken to be a rich country, or the standards of living of people in such a country, they are taken to be high. When talk of standards of living, we are talking of the ability of people to get good education, food, medical services, good housing, employment. So whenever the per capita is high, it is assumed the standards of living are also high, both within the country and between countries. The other one is that they also provide information on how the economy is performing over time. Yes, national income statistics, they will give information on economic stability or economics as the stability performance of an economy. If, for example, the GDP of a country is increasing, it means that the country is doing well. If it is decreasing, it means that the country could be doing poorly. The other one is that they also help in estimating the saving potential in a country. Yes, how much are we supposed to invest? Because savings will be translated to investments. How is the potential of a country? Through the savings that have been done in a country. The other one is that they can be used for planning purposes. Like we have said, the cabinet secretary will be coming up with the budget. The budget will be based on the figures that have been developed. The other one is that it can be used. These national income statistics can also be used to determine how a country depends on external trade. Yes, you remember when I introduced you to economics, we say that one of the aim of economics is to ensure that they have a balance of payment. And through the national income statistics, a country can be able to tell whether its balance of payment is balanced or not, and how much it is relying on external trade. Are we importing more or are we exporting more? So that is what we talk of. So those are that is what national income statistics or national income analysis entails. So I've